So this is chapter 6. This presentation was done by the devotees of ISKCON Malaysia. These are the deities of Germany, Nitai Gauranga. These are the prayers to Srila Prabhupada. And then chapter 6 is called Dhyan Yoga. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, 27 and 28, Krishna is saying that shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the two eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence, the transcendentalist, aiming at liberation, becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always engaged in this, not sure what is written, is certainly liberated. So Krishna is saying that you control your mind and you shut out all those external sense objects, because our eyes want to see something beautiful, ears want to hear some noise, nose wants to smell something. So Krishna is saying you control your mind and senses and you aim at liberation. Then you will become free. Free from what? Desire, fear, and anger. And then one who's actually able to do it, Krishna is saying, he is liberated. He's already gotten moksha. He's a mukta. So, chapter 6, text 3, for one who is a neophyte in the Eightfold Yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means. What does it mean? Karma yoga. If we prematurely give up our work and say, I'm going to just hear and chant the whole day, our modes might drag us down. So what we are recommended to do is be situated in our position and work for the pleasure of Krishna. We do our duties, keeping Krishna in mind, working for the pleasure of Krishna, and that will elevate our consciousness, because then we are not being attached to the results. We are learning, let me give up this result for the pleasure of Krishna. So then that gives us an attachment to Krishna. Then one can completely give up all work and completely engage in cease all material activities. Okay. So one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. So how are we using our mind? What thoughts are we allowing our mind to think? Are we degrading our consciousness by our mind, or are we uplifting? The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So because Krishna is saying, you fix your mind on me. And in that way, the mind can be our greatest friend. But if we degrade ourselves with our mind, always wanting material sense enjoyment, then the mind is our enemy. If the mind always makes us desire sense gratification, that I'm not going to think of the Lord, why should I fix my mind on the Lord? Then our mind is our greatest enemy. Shatruvat, greatest enemy. But the same mind, when we fix this mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, when we fix the mind on hearing the holy names of the Lord, then the same mind becomes our greatest friend. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached, for he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same. So the devotee, he has controlled his mind. He's fixing his mind on the Lord. And so He's satisfied. He's satisfied. He does not care. For him, happiness, sadness, it's the same. Why? Because he's completely understood, I am not this body. Happiness, sadness, honor, dishonor, heat and cold, all these are related to the body. All are related to the body. So we get very affected by these things because we keep thinking, I'm the body. We may say theoretically, yes, yes, I know I'm not the body, I'm the soul. But do we actually realize it? No, we don't understand it. We still act and we still feel that I'm the body. But the yogi who's fixed his mind on God, he's fixed his mind on Krishna, he's liberated. He's understood he's not the body. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga. To purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities, and fixing the mind on one point. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you go do the yoga, you go to the forest. So here we can see in the picture here that the yogi is there in the forest. He's sitting down. He's chosen a seat also. Krishna says that you choose a seat which is neither too high, neither too low. You put kusha grass on it. You put a deer skin. And it should be a sacred place. Don't go to a place which is not sacred. Then you sit there. There you control your mind and your breathing and your senses. That's how you do yoga. This is how Ashtanga yoga is supposed to be done. So we can see it's not practical for us to go here like this, live alone in the forest and try to fix our mind on the Lord. But this is the way that Ashtanga yoga is supposed to be done. So then Krishna is continuing. He's saying one should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind and devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So Krishna is continuing and he's saying how the yogi is supposed to sit. You say you sit straight, don't slouch. Don't slouch. You sit in a proper posture. You hold your head and neck erect, straight line. You look at the tip of the nose. So it means the eyes are not supposed to be wandering here and there. Because if the eyes wander here and there, then it's very difficult to control the mind. So then he's saying, and free from sex life, unagitated. What he's saying, you meditate on me, means meditate on the Paramatma in the heart. We were hearing today, how does the Paramatma look like? He has a four-handed Vishnu form. So we can see here the yogi, he is doing yoga. Also, again, we can see he's in a secluded place. He's by some pond of water in the mountains. He's not in a city. He's in a secluded place. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God or the abode of Krishna by cessation of material existence. The yogi, so now he's controlled his body, mind, and his activities. So his mind is controlled and his mind is fixed on Krishna. His mind is fixed on Krishna, and in that way, he can go to the kingdom of God, because the kingdom of God, Krishna himself, God himself, his kingdom, his name, his form, his paraphernalia, they are all the same. They're all the same. So the yogi, he's fixed his mind on Krishna, so he no more needs to take any birth in the material world, but he can go back home, back to Godhead. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjuna, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So Krishna is saying, have a balanced program. Krishna is telling Arjun, you have a balanced program of eating, sleeping, of recreation, right? And in that way you can practice yoga. He's saying if you don't eat too much, or if you don't eat, if you eat too much or you don't eat enough, your mind, it's not going to be peaceful. If you don't sleep at all, if you're sleeping too less, or if you're eating too much, you won't be able to control the mind. So he's saying you maintain the body properly, and then you engage, you fix your mind on me. So the Yuga Dharma of Satyug, Yuga Dharma means how can we attain perfection? How can we attain liberation? So Yuga Dharma in Satyug, where a person used to live for 100,000 years, the Yuga Dharma was meditation. You can see here, meditation. But that is because the yogi had 100,000 years he could live for. And so if he's meditating for 60,000 years, it's okay. And the goal of the yogi is to see the super soul in the heart, not some void. Then the next yug, Treta Yug, the Yuga Dharma was fire sacrifice, yajna. Yajna. There, the people used to live for 10,000 years, and they were advised to do yajnas. Then in Dwapar Yug, people, their life was 1,000 years, and the mode of the Yuga Dharma, the way of perfection was deity worship. Deity worship. Now we are in Kali Yuga. We have 100 years maximum we can live in. Well, some we might say, oh, but there's somebody living for 125, 135 years. Yeah, but what's the percentage? The average person does not even live 100 years. So our lifespan is very short. So we cannot do yoga. Then yagya, we do not have the qualified brahmanas to do these yagyas. Then deity worship, we do not even have the resources to properly worship the deity. There's tons and tons of gold and ghee and jewels which are required to worship the deity. We don't have all these things. So in this age of Kali, the Yoga Dharma is Sankirtan, chanting the holy names of God. That is the way of perfection in this age. Then here we are showed the life of Narad Muni. Narad Muni was the son of a maidservant. His mother was like a kind of a servant in an ashram where the sages came and they stayed there for 4 months. And Narad Muni was a small boy. He didn't know much, but he used to serve the sages. And by their permission, he took their remnants once. So that gave him a lot of detachment. It gave him knowledge. Then by providence, his mother died. So he said, okay, it's the plan of God. He went to the forest. And he was always meditating on Krishna, as he had learned from the sages. The sages had told him how he can engage in devotional service. And so he was always thinking of the Lord, and the Lord came to him. The Lord came to him he could see the Lord. And the Lord told him, now I'm showing myself to you, but now after this, you will not be able to see me again. You won't be able to see me again. Then Narad Muni gives up his life soon, and then he stays in the body of Mahavishnu till the next day of Brahma, till the next creation happens. Then when the next creation happens, he is born as Narad Muni, as we know him, the Vaikuntha man, always traveling, always spreading the glories of the Lord. So this is the life of Narad Muni. He engaged in devotional service under the instruction of the sages. He got attached to the sages. He heard from them. He was just a small child. And yet he got this Narad Muni's body is a spiritual body. He goes to Vaikuntha planets also. And became a great devotee of the Lord. So we'll stop here for today, and then we'll continue with this tomorrow. I hope that's all right. So
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much for listening and joining in. Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Hare Krishna.